What's going on YouTube? Welcome to episode 135 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zerelite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And don't forget to join the Discord channel. I'll have a link in the description below. Right now I'm doing a poll on the U.S. on what my next ship build is going to be. So if you want to get involved with that, be sure to join the Discord. And once you do, click on next ship build poll, and I have a list accumulated based off of my top build requests on YouTube, so definitely check that out. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We got about a 22-minute episode. I'm actually going to be breaking this recording up into two parts, and we're going to be picking up where we left off with the transporter room. Really going to be trying to get this knocked out within this episode and the next episode. So now that we have our base for Shuttle Bay in place, now you can see I pulled up some other screenshots of this room, and we're going to be looking to flesh that out as well. Primarily right now the entryway point into the transporter room. Now this was something I never really noticed on TNG up until I actually built this out, was that the majority of this room was actually green. And I guess it was one of those things where like I knew it was green, I never really paid attention to it. And it was just, I don't know, it was kind of a weird experience building out a lot of this room in green, because for some reason to me it just didn't fully feel right. Now, with that being said, I had actually looked online for some reference material where they use a color other than green. And I actually found a couple, but the problem that I ran into is that when I was looking at them side by side, it didn't feel like the TNG transporter room. So I ended up getting rid of that and then doing what you guys see now with the green. Again, it's not really my first choice, but I'm trying to use kind of like a faded green so it doesn't pop out as much, and it's a little bit more subtle. I think it works just a little bit better in my opinion. Now what we are going to be doing, rather than just having a flat green wall, I think what we'll do just to split it up a little bit is what you see me doing right now, adding like a row of maybe the white concrete on the top and bottom here, just to kind of split it up just a little bit. That might be appropriate. It might look pretty good. I don't know. That might be something that I change, but I'm just trying it out to see how it looks and to see if I can get away with it. Yeah, now we're going to go along the left side wall and do the same thing on the top and bottom, just to try it out. Because, one of the things you know me, I love to experiment. And if I'm not happy with something, I will keep tinkering with it until it comes out the way that I want it to. I gotta be honest, I think the one and only thing I might have made a slight error on with this room is that I should have made the room coming straight out of the doorway. In other words, moving the doorway from the left side to right next to the console. So this way I had more room to play with. But with that being said, even looking at this picture here, the transporter room was not a very big room. I think that's just coming down to the way that I like to build and what's sticking out to me. But that's definitely something that has kind of stood out a little bit, that maybe I wish I had built it going in a different direction so I had a little bit more room to work with. But it doesn't conflict with how it looks in the pictures. Basically what I'm getting at. Now we do have a little bit of work here on the outside that we have to correct. You can see I'm trying to maintain that green lip on the outside, but we're going to have to taper that off with a row of half slabs. There's just going to be no way around it. And I think what I'm going to end up doing here, just right here maybe, I might end up bringing this up by one deck. Because it feels like the ceiling and the transporter room, they're kind of just like blended into each other, and you can't see that ring, you can't see any of that detail. I really didn't want to go up another level in case I wanted to use this space on the next deck up, but it's really not that big of a deal. If I do decide to use this space on the next deck up, I could always use carpeting as a way to get around that. Or if you don't really want to do that and you don't think it will look as good, just seal off the room. It's not really that big of a deal. One of the things that we have going for us on this build is space, is that we have enough space to spread things around. So not too worried about that. Matter of fact, I think that's just what we'll do. Rather than worrying about the carpet and anything right now, we're just going to seal up this room. If we end up coming back to it and we need to utilize it, we will. But for right now, we'll just worry about the transporter room and go from there. Because this is ultimately turned into one of these things I've just had to adopt on this build. Because it's been taking me so long to do it, I've been having to kind of cut slight corners here and there just to get through the build without it taking me another year and a half to get through it. You know what I mean? Because I did not intend this build to go out even a fraction as long as it went out to. I was expecting it honestly to last a couple of months, and then as I got into a thick of it, realized the undertaking that this was turning into. And it's just one of those things where I don't want to walk away from it until I'm at least happy with it. I can honestly live with there being some gaps. That's not what I originally had planned out, but I mean, hey, you know, sometimes you're going to be hit with situations like this where you're just honestly not going to have any other choice, and you just have to make decisions on what you want to do. Now, that's not to say that you can't keep working on this even after I'm done with it. And don't get me wrong, we still have some work to do on this build. There's still quite a few episodes to go through. I'm just talking about as far as filling up every single bit of space on the interior. This thing isn't going to be filled in as much like the Constitution classes I've done in the past. And that just comes down to the scale. If it was a smaller ship, we wouldn't have that problem, and it would feel like a much fuller ship, but it is what it is. I'm always going to be my biggest critic in that regard because I always think about things I could have done a little bit better or improved upon. And that is the one thing that I was not overly fond of with this build so far, was that the length of time that it's taken me to do it, and that's kind of impeded on fleshing out more and more of the ship, because there's only so much screenshots you can find of this thing. A lot of it, like with the mall, I pretty much had to conceptualize how the mall looked, because I mean, go on YouTube and see if you can find a mall, the Enterprise D. You're just not going to find it. You'll find maybe one screenshot of a side view that has a cylinder in the middle of the saucer section and a little arrow that says mall. But other than that, you have no detail for what this area actually looked like. So basically what I'm getting at here is that doing a build like this takes a lot of creativity, and then maybe looking at other builds, or not necessarily other builds, but other concept art and other reference materials. So maybe in that case, maybe to see what other people did. But I don't like to copy what other people did. I try to just stick with the source material as much as I can and work with that. But I don't think this room looks too bad. When it's all said and done, I think everybody will be pretty happy with it. The screenshot that I have with the episode, that's the final transporter room, and I think it looks pretty good. Like even the back wall of the transporter room, that combination of the brown and yellow, again, that's not something I'd necessarily do. Like even when I built out the transporter room for the Cerritos, I had intended to use that as a base template for what I was going to do on this ship. But then when I just started looking at, the screenshots of it and realized that, the shape of it was pretty good, but the color scheme was very off. This has a very 90s feel to it as far as the colors that they used in designing the interior of the Enterprise D. Not that it looks bad, just something to point out. And that's a lot of green. That's not looking too bad. I think the above lighting looks pretty good. You know what we could do? If you're not going to be utilizing the deck above, what you could do even where those sea lanterns are is maybe even have a cut there and have them going up one more block. So this way it matches the picture here because there's a nice lip going around. That's something you could definitely do too. Yeah, and you can see here I'm trying to keep with the green color combination that they have here, but I'm trying to add in just a little bit more of the white concrete where I can, just to split it up a little bit. Because it's kind of weird too, like out of all the rooms that I've done on the interior of the Enterprise D, this is really the one that I took the most liberties with, but still stayed fairly true to it. I mean, really the only change that I've added so far is adding that little strip of the white concrete. Yeah, that line, that yellow block there, I don't know. That's not really doing it for me. And then the shape this is, in the corner here, I'm just thinking I need to move that back one more, just to clean it up a little bit more, to have a little bit more of a clean shape. That's looking pretty good. Except for those two yellow blocks. I'm not feeling that. We're going to have to update that a little bit. Now you can see we're bringing the yellow for the back wall of the transporter room just up by one more block. See, that's the other thing too. We do one thing on one side. I want to make sure that matches up. That's very important. At least on my builds anyway. I try to make everything match up because when you start, I'm telling you, when you start losing stuff like that, your ship can start to feel a little bit rushed and not as together. All right, so I think that we're probably going to start working on here the computer console in the back end. Stutter there for a second. No, but yeah, we're going to build out this computer console back here. So this way we can operate our transporter room. Well, that's good. I'm trying to think of what Star Trek news has been coming out lately. Nothing that I can really think of. I don't know those of you who've been watching Star Trek Picard season 2. It's been pretty good so far. I still think it's better than season 1, but I mean, I don't want to say that I'm getting bored with it, but I'm getting bored with the San Francisco storyline. I'm basically I'm at the point where like I'm ready for them to go back to the future at this point. I feel like they've kind of stretched that storyline out just a little bit too much, in my opinion. It's not exactly what I would have done. But again, it's not trying to talk crap, just stating fact. That's how the modern Star Treks are these days, where they get one little storyline and they stretch it out through an entire season. Um, but I think for me at this point, I'm just ready for season 3 to be out so I can see what I kind of feel like I signed up for to begin with. I want to see a reunion with the TNG cast and what they're going to do. Um, I already said that the doctor that has been infected with the Borg Queen. I've already called it, and this is a spoiler, that she's going to be the queen that was in episode 1 of season 2, that showed up in the mask and the Stargazer. And I could be wrong, but it wouldn't surprise me if she was, because I've noticed things like that they've kind of, I don't know if lazy is the word I'd use to describe it, but some of the plot points that they have, they're kind of easy to spot out. But the other good thing is that Strange New Worlds comes out next month, and I'm really looking forward to that. Not necessarily Star Trek related, but still nerd related in general. Obi-Wan comes out next month. Now, that I'm actually really, really looking forward to. I think that there's quite a few stories to tell within that time frame between episodes 3 and 4, and I think that they're doing it the right way. I'd like to see when the show comes out, maybe a lot of references to the Clone Wars, um, and I know what we won't see because they already did it in the Clone Wars, but the duel between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan. That was kind of like one of the things I was hoping that would make it into the show, but I don't think it's going to happen just because they already showed it on. I want to say it was in Rebels. I could be wrong. If it was in Clone Wars, don't hold it against me. But no, I think Obi-Wan will be pretty good. Now this isn't well, it's not science fiction related, but what else? Top Gun's coming out. That's a movie I've actually been really, really looking forward to seeing. Um, there really hasn't been any movies this year that I've actually been excited about, but Top Gun is definitely on that list. Um, I hope that they don't ruin it. I know that Tom Cruise. I was reading an interview with him, and he was saying that he was waiting, or he's been waiting to tell a worthwhile story, and we'll see. I will say this though: I was watching a making of Top Gun 2, and that guy is just crazy. He had it written into his contract that they had to use real fighter jets in making of the movie, so there's virtually no CGI in it. All the actors that they had hired to be pilots in the film, they had to put them through flight school basically. Even though they weren't necessarily going to be flying the planes, they had to get used to the G's and everything of being in, I think it's the F-16. Um, no, it's the F-18. Excuse me, yeah, the F-A-18. And on top of that, they had to take classes on cinematography because they were going to be their own directors because they had cameras in the cockpits. So if anything, the movie will be very pretty probably because it's all practical effects with real jets. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think those are the two things that are coming up that I'm excited about. Well, three things: Top Gun, um, Obi-Wan, and Strange New Worlds. And we'll have to wait a little bit longer before we get Picard season 3. But I have some high hopes for what they can do with that. I've already said it in the past that the template's there for what they could do to bring Data back. And fulfill his storyline without it being cheapened with him passing before. I think if they brought him back as one of those modern sung androids that age, you can have an old Brent Spiner show up, and I think that people will be like, okay, I get it. I hope that they do that because I think it would just be a shame to have the whole TNG cast reunite and we don't get to see Data because I got to be honest with you, what I don't want to see I don't want to see Brent Spiner show up and he's playing another character alongside the TNG cast. I definitely don't want to see that. So we're looking pretty good so far. Not sure how I feel about those hatches in the floor. I think that needs a little bit of work. But we're going to start winding down on today's episode. We have just under 2 minutes left. We're going to get a little bit done. And then I'm actually going to be splitting this up into 2 episodes. Because I try not to do, 15-minute episodes too much. And we just had one the other week. So it's like, you know what? I'll split this up into 2. Because I'm pretty sure that... I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure after this this recording session, I think I'm done with the transporter room. So it'll just be 3 episodes total, which isn't too bad. I could live with that. But real quick before we wrap it up, you can see the back wall here. I'm going to adjust it and make that, I believe I'm making it 4 wide on the back wall. Yeah. So we've changed that to 4 wide. I think that'll look a little bit nicer than what we had before. And now we just need to adjust the trim. There we go. That looks pretty good. But then we're still going to have a problem with placement of the pads. So that's going to be the next challenge here. And of course we have to adjust the front now of our transporter room now that we've adjusted the back wall there. I've got to get rid of that floating carpet. But I think this will be a good place to stop it. So yeah, I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. And I can't thank you enough for tuning in today's episode and hitting that like and subscribe button. Help me support the channel. I can't thank you enough. The more likes I get, the more watch time I get. It definitely helps the monetization on the channel. It helps my analytics in getting more ads, more people to view this. So if you haven't, subscribe to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Of course, if you have any questions, be sure to drop a comment below or in the Discord. I definitely love hearing from everybody. But I think that's going to wrap it up for me today. I just want to thank you all again. I hope everybody has a happy and a safe week. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.